A couple of months ago, I made a Numeron Zoo deck profile, and at the end of that video, I promised to make a pure Zoodiac profile after the release of Phantom Rage. Today, I'm going to deliver on that. The main zoo core has changed just a tiny bit. We're still running 3 Thoroughblade, 3 Ram, 3 Whiptail, 1 Rat Pier, but this time we're actually running 2 Bunny Blast. Ram is a negate for traps that target the XYZ monster it's a material to. Same thing goes for Bunny Blast, except for spells. This helps a little bit with the virtual world matchup, and plus if your opponent tries to use an impermanence on your Trident, you can just negate it. Plus more ways to get to the zoo plays is a bit helpful. Outside of that, still running 3 Fire Formation Tenkis, 1 Barrage, and 1 combo. Tenki and Barrage get your Zoodiac monsters out of the main deck, and with Zoodiac combo, you can target a Zoodiac XYZ monster you control and attach something from the deck to it. Or you can banish it from the graveyard, as long as it wasn't sent there that turn, and target 5 Zoodiac monsters of different names, shuffle them back in the deck, and draw 1. For spells, I have 2 Cosmic Cyclones, 1 Monster Reborn, 2 Pot of Avarice, and 2 Triple Tactic Talents. So main deck backer removal goes a long way. I generally prefer Cosmic Cyclone over Twin Twisters because, if you haven't noticed, a lot of the topping decks prefer to have things in your graveyard rather than banished. And with TTT, either draw 2, take control of a monster, or put something in your opponent's hand back into the deck. Just the other day, actually, I was doing a Zoo Mirror, and my opponent used their Trident, and I activate TTT, took control of their Trident, exceeded Borbo, attacked directly, and made Zeus. And for hand traps, I'm running a little bit more than I did in my Sacred Beast video. I'm running 3 Ash Blossoms, 3 Infinite Permanences, 3 Nibiru's, and 3 Dimension Shifters. Zoo really doesn't care about Shifter, so it's fine. But for the other deck that it goes up against, a lot of things don't really like their things to be banished. And for the last 4 cards of the deck, I'm running 3 Solemn Judgments and 1 Imperial Order. Order doesn't really impact the deck too much. By the time you flip it up, you have already done your combos. Plus, if you really need your spells, you can get rid of it with either Trident or Zeus. That's right, we're in the old days of Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, where we just get rid of Imperial Order the second that we need to use a spell. Onto the extra deck, I have 3 Chakanine, 3 Tiger Mortars, 2 Borbo, 1 Hammer Kong, 1 Trident, 1 Drill Driver, 2 Zeus, 1 Mega Cloth, and 1 Nightmare Phoenix. So, to be perfectly honest, I actually haven't used Nightmare Phoenix yet. But the rest I used rather frequently. I use Drill to push for a little bit more damage, most likely because I'm trying to go for game. And Mega Cloth's just a backup plan for when Zeus or none of my other plans are going accordingly. And Zeus just sends everything else from the field to the graveyard. And by the way, he is not once per turn. Not even within the same chain. So, if you activate it and your opponent tries to use it in permanence, you can just chain it again, and still get the effect off. I think there's one time where I resolved Zeus 3 times during the turn, and I had like 8 materials under it. The best way to go into Zeus is really to just make a Borbo, and attack directly, and then make a couple more Zoodiac monsters, and then make Zeus. Onto the side deck, I have 2 Alphas, 1 Pinkertops, 3 Book of Moon, 3 Dark Ruler No More, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, 2 Lightning Storms, and 3 Evenly Matched. I decided on Book of Moon not only just for the mirror match, but for any deck that's not a fusion deck. Flipping down a key opponent to one of my opponent's plays kind of stops their turn. And plus, Alpha and Pinkertops are just more forms removal if I'm forced to go second. A couple days after filming this video, I decided to take out Book of Moon, Harpy's Feather Duster, and Lightning Storm, and in their place, I put in Drolan Lockbird along with Artifact Lancia. The reason why I chose Drone Lockbirds is to help out with the virtual world matchup. And the same thing goes for Artifact Lancia, though Artifact Lancia will also help out with the Eldritch matchup and dinosaurs. I think it's going to be a little bit better for the current format, but let me know down in the comments which one you prefer. So for combos, there's not really a whole lot to really say. My basic combo going first is to make Trident on my Force Summon and pass turn. But I have a couple different processes of actually doing that. For example, when I have Ram and Whiptail in the hand at the same time. So we normal summon Ram, we activate them into Hammer Kong, and then Chaka 9, and then a Trident, and leave the Whiptail in hand. So when my opponent tries to target the Trident with an impermanence, we just use the negate effect of Ram. And then let's say we pop something as well. And then my opponent goes in battle phase and tries to run over the Trident. So at this point they have declared their attack, we use Whiptail and attach it to Trident, and now my opponent has to banish their card. Here's another scenario where we come across Ram and Thoroughblade. We could normal summon Thoroughblade and send the Ram to get the draw, but that can also be Impermanence, or Ashed, or Veilered, or we could draw another Ram. I think in this situation, I'd much rather have Negate that Ram offers, and just go into Trident. The cards are going everywhere. So if we have Thoroughblade and combo in hand, we can normal summon, use the effect to discard the combo, and maybe we draw into a Whiptail. So for playtesting, shuffling up the deck, we draw into Bunny Blast, Thoroughblade, Pot of Avarice, Fire Formation Tenki, and Infinite Impermanence. So first I'm going to activate the Fire Formation Tenki, which will allow us to add in Zoodiac Whiptail. And just as a precaution, for if we face Virtual World, we're going to normal summon the Bunny Blast, and then we're going to X these into Hammer Kong, Chaka 9, and then Trident. And we just set the Infinite Impermanence down, and we pass turn. Next hand, we draw into Imperial Order, Fire Formation Tenki, Dimension Shifter, Ash Blossom, and Solemn Judgment. Alright, so, Fire Formation Tenki. We add in Ram. Normal summon the Ram, Xyz Climb, stop on Trident, and then we set these two face down, pass turn, let our opponent do something, Dimension Shifter. Let's say they do Call of the Grave. We just flip up Imperial Order and tell them to have fun, basically. For our next hand, we draw into Bunny Blast, Whiptail, Ash Blossom, Fire Formation Tenki, and Quasi Cyclone. I think for this hand, we're going to activate Fire Formation Tenki. And we add in Ram. The reason why I went for Ram is because if my opponent has Infinite Impermanence, Bunny Blast is not going to help that much. So I'd rather have the security that Ram offers with Impermanence, and Trident can do another interruption later than gambling more with Bunny Blast. I mean, they could be playing Virtual World, and they could target my Trident with their spell card, but I think that's a kind of a gamble in and of itself to bet on them playing Virtual World. And we just set the Quasi Cyclone, pass turn, and then when my opponent does anything attack-wise, we just attach the Whiptail. Next hand, we have Dimension Shifter, Ram, Dimension Shifter, Fire Formation Tenki, and Zoodiac Whiptail. So we're going to use Fire Formation Tenki first. And then we're going to add in a Whiptail. Now we're going to normal summon the Ram, Xyz Climb, into Trident. So when my opponent does their battle phase, we're going to only use one of the Whiptails. The reason for that is I want to have I just want a little bit of insurance. So if my Trident is outed somehow, I can still have another play with the Whiptail in hand. Let's see how the next turn turns out. So it wouldn't have mattered. We drew the Bunny Blast, but I think it's a little bit too much a gamble to use both of them. Plus now, they can go into Borbo, and attack directly, and do another material. So this is at, so Borbo is now currently at 29 attack. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 materials under it. And now what we can do is Xyz into Zeus, and it currently has 7 materials under it. Now situations where we can actually put 7 materials under it are kind of few and far between, but it's kind of neat that we can. Plus, if we have a Zoodiac monster in the graveyard, we can just summon Bunny Blast and attach Tiger Mortar and detach Tiger Mortar to target the Zeus and put another Xyz material under it. And this is keeping in mind that Tiger Mortar doesn't specify you have to target a Zoodiac Xyz monster. You just have to target a Xyz monster and a Zoodiac monster in the graveyard. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like what you're seeing, subscribe to the channel, and if you have a suggestion for a future video, I would love to hear about them down below in the comments. And share this video on social media, and while you're there, find me and follow me. My name is Brent, and I am Maxed Out Weird, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace!